matter is that we will improve. And whether there's a figure in mind, you will know that at the end of the day.
Nigerians heave a sigh of relief as organized labor suspends nationwide strike. Negotiation on minimum wage continues.
Has brought Nigeria a pride of international acclaim.
President Tinubu inaugurates another road, names project after Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka.
We were lucky that it did not fall exactly on top of our vehicle.
Gas tanker explosion claims 3 lives in Port Harcourt as federal government commences rescue operation in crash mining site at Shiroro, Niger State. Good evening. Welcome to Network News. My name is Nansel Nimiel. The Tripartite Committee on National Minimum Wage has held its first meeting after organized labor suspended the nationwide industrial action. Meanwhile, some Nigerians expressed relief over the efforts by government and the workers' unions to amicably resolve the dispute. Our labor correspondent, Joseph Oten, has the report.
The industrial action embarked upon by the organized labor lasted for a day, but it's a day many will want to forget in a hurry, as lots of official and socio-economic activities were put on hold.
Considering those in the hospital, we are considering those who are in the private sector, the works have been crippled. So it's a good one to start with.
Because of the strike, things are getting harder and harder and harder. But NTA, with their own wisdom with the government, they call it off. But we are hoping that we'll get even 120 as a minimum wage for workers.
It seems a quick resolution is in sight, as immediately after the suspension of the strike, the Tripartite Committee on National Minimum Wage reconvened, where parties are optimistic that the issues will be resolved within the 1 week.
The truth of the matter is that we will improve. And whether there's a figure in mind, you will know that at the end of the day.
If government said, okay, give us time for us to conclude, and we agreed that timeline to be 7 days. So the NEC also approved that, okay, let us also give a window of 7 days, that after 7 days, if nothing is done, we go back again to the trenching.
We are looking forward to taking a holistic view. It's not only minimum wage. Something determines how much you are able to pay. The operating environment, the situation in which you are confronted, the size of your income, what you are looking forward to as the projection for your business. As you are aware, the organized private sector is facing tough times, and there are measures that we believe that government needs to take for us to be able to also function.
The committee is expected to now meet every day, as agreed earlier in the meeting between representatives of the federal government and the labor unions, until it comes up with a considerable national minimum wage for all. In Abuja, Joseph Otsen, NTA News.
In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu has received a brief from leaders of the federal government team negotiating with organized labor unions that facilitated the suspension of the industrial action. Secretary to the government of the Federation, George Akume, led the team to the presidential villa this Tuesday afternoon. State House correspondent Musbao Wahab had a brief chat with the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, on the latest situation.
All right, the sharing is that the strike has been suspended by the organized labor unions, and we have the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who's been critical to this negotiation going on so far. Let's quickly hear a bit from him about what has gone down in the last 24 hours. Honorable Minister, thank you so much for your time. How has it been negotiating with the organized labor?
Well, it's been quite challenging, but we thank God that we are at this point. We thank Labour that they have suspended, through to their awards last night, they have suspended their strike early this morning. And government on its side, you can see that The president has just summoned a meeting of all those who negotiated on behalf of the federal government, led by the Secretary of the Government of the Federation. The Minister of Finance was there, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, myself, the Minister of Labor, the Group Managing Director of the NMPC. We're all there to look at those issues, and then the president has directed the Minister of Finance to do the numbers and get back to him between today and tomorrow, so that we can have some figures ready for negotiation with labor. Let me say that Mr. President is determined to go with what the committee has said. He is also looking at the welfare of Nigerians. Like I've said earlier, government is not against, it's not an opponent of labor discussions, it's not an opponent of wage increase. But what is there is that government is always desirous of ensuring that there is a balance between what government pronouncement is and what the realities are on ground. And therefore, we'll work assiduously to ensure that whatever we do, whatever promises the government makes will be kept. That's the idea of this meeting. The president has given a marching order that those who have negotiated on behalf of government and all those also who are representative of other sectors, the organized private sector, the subnationals, come together so that we can have a new wage award that is acceptable, that is sustainable, and that is also realistic for Nigeria.
Okay, part of the outcome is that the meeting will continue in the next 7 days. So what specifically are we looking at as a lasting solution?
Well, you know that the issue of wage award is not just that of the federal government. Like I mentioned earlier, the subnationals are involved, the organized private sector is involved, the labor is involved. It was labor that staged a step out during those proceedings. Now that we have come back to the negotiating table, all of us will work together again assiduously within the next 1 week to ensure that we have a new wage for Nigeria that is acceptable, that is sustainable, that is also realistic for all Nigerians.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. We hope that the lasting solution being desired will be found. And that's it from the presidential villa for now.
Meanwhile, our correspondent Diana Ajale in Lagos went round to feel the pulse of Lagosians on the strike suspension and reports that respondents are of the opinion that proper dialogue between the federal government and the unions without strike should be the best approach to press home demands.
It's a welcome development in the sense that when two elephants are fighting, the grass will suffer. Now look at how many percentage that makes up the labor union that work for government. I remember that your input should be able to be commensurate with your output.
The resolutions reached between the federal government and labor, leaders of both unions say, informed the realization of the strike, which is a step to allow for smooth negotiations. In reaction, some Lagosians say both the federal government and the unions should be considerable and come up with agreement that will not later affect the general public.
The federal government should step up while the labor should step down. I am talking because it's not good for us to fix an amount that nobody will be able to pay. That's number one. Number two, are the states capable?
If I pay the salary of the worker, everything will continue jumping. That inflation will be increased in number of days, and those who are lower class will be suffering.
The suspension of the strike, the unions say, is expected to last for 5 days, from Tuesday to Sunday midnight, June 9, 2024, while they await the federal government to heed to their demands. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
And prior to the suspension of the industrial action by organized labor, a series of deliberations held, including the late Monday evening meeting between the federal government delegation and the labor unions, as well as another held on Tuesday morning amongst labor leaders. These have all paid off, with all parties agreeing to return to the negotiating table on minimum wage. Thikla Wilke has the details.
It was an eyeball-to-eyeball sitting arrangement as representatives of the organized labor and the federal government met to deliberate on the new minimum wage. Labor is pushing for a living wage of 494,000, while the government is proposing a sustainable minimum wage.
Labour had agreed to come back to negotiating table with the understanding that the president has been reached and is committed to making sure that the new minimum wage negotiation is concluded.
60,000 is a no-no, and we'll have to go into it, and get a proper minimum wage for Nigerian workers.
With the ongoing negotiations, the tripartite committee are hopeful all parties will shift ground. The industrial action by the organized labor has seen businesses and other economic activities come to a halt across the nation, with banks, airport, schools, hospitals, and even electricity shut down.
The loss is not quantifiable for now, but I do also know that we need to recover. All of us, the federal government, the organized labor, and the organized private sector need to come together so that we can build our nation once again in line with the commitment and with the vision of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
At the end of the meeting, the atmosphere seemed to have switched from a boxing ring to a boardroom, with both parties agreeing to keep negotiations going for the next 1 week. One thing is certain: the government has agreed to review the minimum wage of 60,000 to an undisclosed figure, with an assurance that no worker will be victimized as a result of the industrial action.
You could see that in the agreement, there's a commitment that they will do much more than, higher than the 60,000, using the exact words in the agreement, higher than 60,000. So with that commitment coming from Mr. President, we felt that, okay, let's go back to the tripartite committee that is vested by law to discuss the minimum wage. Because if we had discussed it here, for example, is not backed by law. So what is backed by law is that tripartite committee where you have government, organized labor, and organized private sector.
We have had a very realistic and patriotic meeting, and the results will be very, very manifest soon.
In Abuja, Thekla Wilkie, NTA News.
And the Senate has restated its commitment towards amicable resolution of the minimum wage issue and commends labor leaders for suspending the strike. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports on this and other deliberations at Tuesday's plenary.
The news of the suspension of the strike action broke while plenary was in session, debating a motion from Senator Diket Plank on the minimum wage issue.
Devise a means of arriving at a comprehensive policy that would be beneficial to both the private and public sectors in a way that will not drive the economy to an unprecedented downturn.
We must not only look or wait to make law. We must say that a delegation both to labor, like we have did before, and also to the federal government, and saying, let us up to 90,000 naira. And every party should stop at that.
National minimum wage is guided by law, an act of National Assembly. And if upward review or otherwise should be the responsibility of the National Assembly.
As we deal with the minimum wage, Mr. President, we should also be thinking of those who have no employment at all.
Lawmakers expressed the hope that the resumption of negotiation will enable parties to reach a compromise.
Shutting down national grid could amount to economic sabotage. Stopping children from taking WAEC means that you have set those children back by 1 year. Stopping the hash is not only religious sacrilege, it's also unheard of. I want to thank the Nigerian Labour Congress and the TUC for listening to the voice of Nigerians and the international community, calling off the strike to enable negotiations to continue. And we wish them well in the negotiations. On our part, we will continue to do our best by making contributions and at the same time awaiting the incoming bill for us to enact for the benefit of all Nigerians.
6 bills passed first reading, among them bills to amend Border Communities Development Agency Acts. Meanwhile, President Tinubu has communicated the Senate seeking confirmation of Dr. Adepoju Olumide as Director General of the National Space Research and Development Agency. In another development, Senator Abdul Nengi has attended plenary, thanking the Senate for recalling him from the earlier suspension.
I would like to commend the Senate for this gesture, and I would like especially to commend the Senate President for the kind words you have expressed that day about me. Commend the leadership of the minority.
Senator Nengi was suspended in March this year over budget padding allegations. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The federal government has named a newly inaugurated road after the renowned Nigerian playwright and novelist Wole Soyinka for his contributory effort to the positive image of Nigeria across the world. President Bola Tinubu expressly approved the proposal at the inauguration of the arterial road project within the federal capital city, Abuja. State House correspondent Musbao Wahab again has the details.
The status of Abuja as top Nigerian city with world-class road network is growing. Here is another arterial road to enhance connectivity for smoother transportation within the city. The 3.5 road with 2 interchanges from the Northern Parkway to the Outer Northern Expressway is connecting the Kubwa Expressway to the Ahmadu Bello Way, thereby in place to relieve motorists of the usual gridlock at busy hours.
Benefit and prosperity, FCT, and a clear.
And this road is named Wole Soyinka Way.
Our foremost playwright, novelist, Nobel Prize winner, who has brought Nigeria fame and pride of international acclaim.
Back to back, it has been a busy week for the Nyesom Wike-led FCT administration inaugurating infrastructure projects, and his principal commended him for ensuring what he described as a very successful first-year landing for the administration. President Bola Tinubu says these roads springing up across the capital city is only an indication of a general infrastructural renewal coming across the country.
It's another testament to the actualization of our developmental agenda to transform every part of this country. We'll do it.
For anybody to challenge you in FCT, it is very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Well, I dare say so, because the facts are there, the things are there. It's not about theory now, it's about the reality. You say you will do this, have you done it? Yes.
The road project was awarded in year 2000 at the cost of about 30.6 billion naira. In Abuja, Musbao Wahab, NTA News.
And there's more to come on Network News tonight. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. A truck conveying industrial compressed gas cylinders containing compressed natural gas CNG has exploded at the Obiri-Ikwere flyover in Port Harcourt, claiming 3 lives. Marian Vincent Oko reports that the incident, which occurred at about 9 o'clock Tuesday morning, is coming barely 6 weeks after the LMA tanker explosion, which claimed several lives.
This is the second time in less than 2 months that Rivers State is witnessing tanker explosion with records of fatality. This truck conveying several industrial cylinders of compressed natural gas on getting to the Obiri-Ikwere flyover in Port Harcourt was said to have derailed while attempting to navigate a turn.
My car, now this thing fall on top on the back.
Prince Sunday, a driver who narrowly escaped the falling truck, said he sensed the driver was having issues turning and quickly diverted from it.
As soon as they fall, I don't already start to move. So I seen just hit and stop me. I think it and the pressure still push me go front.
The second taxi was, however, not so lucky as the truck fell on it before exploding, killing all 3 passengers. Some eyewitnesses attributed the accident to reckless driving, as they said the driver lost control due to speed.
The way the truck driver overtake me by that spawning ground, overtake with my normal on boom, I think they go war, and the same that speed where this young man carry this here, come down here to turn this motor, and it fall down.
And there were 2 vehicles. We were lucky that it did not fall exactly on top of our vehicle.
I saw the trailer turning. I thought it was the task force chasing it because task force normally disturb them towards this place. All I knew is a tanker just fell down. After falling down, before a little minute, this car ran into the tanker and thing exploded.
Although the fire was put out by officers of the Federal Fire Service, they blamed the impact on delay in reporting the explosion.
We made the fire at the fully developed level. People tell us that they had about 4 explosions. So even now, even because of our arrival, we are expected to even experience more explosions.
As at the time of this report, the whereabouts of the driver of the truck could not be ascertained. Vicinity of the accident has been cordoned off, as some of the cylinders were still discharging gas due to leakage. In Port Harcourt, Marian Vincent Oko, NTA News.
And in another development, the Niger State Emergency Management Agency has confirmed the collapse of a mining pit in Shiroro local government area of the state, where 3 persons have been rescued alive with multiple fractures and 2 confirmed dead, while more than 30 persons are still buried under the rubble. Meanwhile, the federal government has also mobilized first responders to the scene, and the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, in a statement disclosed that the swift action of the federal government underscores its commitment to mitigating the adverse impact of the incident and rescuing those still trapped in the rubble. The minister recently announced a policy that makes remedial measures for mining pits mandatory as part of the criteria for mining licenses. This is aimed at minimizing accidents. The statement further explained that the minister is actively monitoring the situation at the mining site operated by African Minerals and Logistics Limited. He assures Nigerians of the federal government's resolve to investigate the remote causes of the disaster to prevent a recurrence. And the declaration of the Bola Tinubu administration to leave no one behind is not just a promise, but an actionable pledge that finds expression on so many fronts. One of such is the food outreach scheme of the Renewed Hope Initiative, which touched base in Nasarawa State with the distribution of food and other palliatives to persons with disabilities and other vulnerable groups. State House correspondent Taiwo Adeniyi reports.
It is such a good day for Habiba and other members of the vulnerable community in Nasarawa State as they take delivery of various food items under the food outreach scheme of the Renewed Hope Initiative. Their kind gesture meets with their gratitude.
The federal government care about us a lot to give us indomie and rice and spaghetti free of charge.
Because the way the situation we are, so it really helped us. So I'm happy on that.
Welcome to your home. Welcome to one of their daughters and wife of the Vice President, Nana Shetima, led other members of the RHI team to present the palliatives to them on behalf of Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu. Handing over the items, she says RHI will continue to harness and deploy resources towards addressing the distress of the vulnerable in line with the broad objective of the scheme, which is to provide support for the underprivileged in the society.
I am pleased to inform you that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, in collaboration with Renewed Hope Initiative, have concluded plan to donate a truck load of fertilizers and bags of rice to each state starting here in Nasarawa State as our first beneficiary. Also, the Renewed Hope Initiative Governing Council has graciously approved a grant of 50,000 naira to 1,000 women in each state as part of our Women Economic Empowerment Program.
Represented by his deputy, Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule applauded the First Lady Hannah Pet Project for working hard to address the concerns of the weak in the country.
I assure Her Excellency that this effort will be sustained until our economy is stabilized.
In no distant future, Nigerians will see the hand of Mr. President. And this country will be one of the greatest, one of the best.
After FCT, Kano and Nasarawa states, Benue is on cue for the next round of the food outreach. From Lafia in Nasarawa State, Adeni Itaiwo, NTA News.
The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, is strengthening media relations to amplify public health messages to the people in nooks and crannies of the country. It has set this in motion by interfacing with media executives in Abuja. Ugochukwu Ona reports.
This meeting, facilitated by the International Society of Media and Public Health, believes that the critical role of the media cannot be wished away during and after the outbreak of diseases.
The world has become a global village, and the media is central to promoting good health system. So you can only report from the point of knowledge, and this is what we're trying to do today.
What we plan to do is to use all forms of modalities, all modalities available. It could be electronic, to also be traditional. You know, the traditional cultural modalities.
And the media executives understand the assignment perfectly. Strengthening collaboration for national health security is necessary, especially when it is an established fact that most Nigerians have a lackadaisical attitude when it concerns prevention of diseases. They agree that research, robust publicity, accurate and timely information, and funding are key factors in achieving results.
The health of a nation is the wealth of a nation. And all we need to do is to collaborate with NCDC for a healthier country.
The takeaways are that Nigeria is relatively safe, but it can't be safer through emergency preparedness and response, promotion, and prevention. In Abuja, Ugochukwu Ona, NTA News.
And the Central Bank of Nigeria and the West African Institute for Financial and Economic Management, WIFM, is partnering with multilateral organizations to strengthen debt management capacity in West Africa. To this end, a regional training on annual borrowing plan, ABP, development is being organized for WIFM member countries as part of efforts towards ensuring prudent fiscal management and economic stability.
Implementation often presents considerable challenges. This particular training on annual borrowing plan development is designed to address this issue by providing a structured framework for operationalizing the MTDS annually.
The ABP enables debt managers to optimize the timing and structure of debt issuance by carefully analyzing market conditions and investor preferences and the government's borrowing needs. This strategic approach can lower borrowing costs and reduce the overall economic debt funding.
Jigawa state government is committed to pursuing the execution of critical policies and programs aimed at transforming the state for the good of all. This was the assurance of Governor Umar Namadi while signing into law a supplementary budget of 85.4 billion naira to avail resources for building Greater Jigawa. Muhammad Musa Askira brings us the details.
About 6 other bills have been passed by the State Assembly which have assented, including the bill for the Jigawa State Agency for Digital Economy, the Jigawa State Agency of Resident Registration, the Senior Secondary School bill, and also the Jigawa State senior secondary school bill. In addition, also we have the Jigawa State Resident Identity Card Management Board bill, and also the Local Government Council Appropriation Bill, as well as the Local Government Council Supplementary Bill. So this makes the 7 bill we have signed today, together with the Supplementary Appropriation Bill. These all are in our journey to a greater Jigawa.
These were the bills passed by the Jigawa State Assembly. Described as crucial to the development of the state, Mala Umar Namadi said with these laws on the ground, Jigawa development dreams will not only be realized but also accelerated.
These agencies are agencies that are necessary and that will definitely benefit the people of Jigawa State. Therefore, I want to use this opportunity to thank members of the Jigawa State House of Assembly for the speedy passage of these bills and for their commitment and for their cooperation in our journey to greater Jigawa.
The bills were signed into law in the presence of the State Assembly leadership and members of the State Executive Council. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askiram, NTA News.
Another break beckons. More stories will come your way when Network News returns. Borno State Governor Babagana Umar Zulum says government will not allow Boko Haram insurgents to displace communities again. The governor stated this during a visit to Kukawa local government area, where he met with military officers in Baga and visited farmlands as part of efforts to resuscitate South Chad irrigation scheme, among other engagements. Muhammad Goni reports.
Some conventional and social media platforms have carried the purported report of a threat by Islamic State of West African province to Kukawa community, giving ultimatum to residents to vacate the town or face attacks. This informed Governor Zulum's visit to Baga, where he held talks with the military officials behind closed doors on measures to avert the threat of attacks on Kukawa and other surrounding communities and to ensure the safety of all citizens.
Displacement has not taken place in Borno State for the last 4 years. And under no circumstances we shall allow Boko Haram to displace our communities again. So I'm here to discuss the matter with the Nigerian army and then see how we can abort such situation.
Other critical issues discussed with the naval commander is the opening up of waterways from Nigerian side to the Republic of Chad to enhance economic activities of communities on the Lake Chad Basin. While in Baga, the governor also visited farms as part of efforts to resuscitate South Chad irrigation scheme by supporting farming communities along the shores of the Lake Chad. The state authorities have already subsidized sales of water spirit to farmers in the area and provided farm inputs to encourage irrigation farming. Governor Zulum also directed the council to compile lists of farmers in the area to provide support to them from the World Bank project Acrisal. As part of continued livelihood support to resettle communities, the governor also presented 7 saloon golf cars and 10 units of tricycles to Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers, 3 golf saloon cars and 5 units of tricycles to Road Transport Employers Association, while 15 units of tricycles were also presented to Farmers Association. Similarly, members of Fish Sellers Association in Baga also got 5 vehicles to transport their goods to market. The leadership of the benefiting associations, who also received cash support, expressed gratitude to the governor for the continued support to them, saying the support will boost the economy of the area. In Maiduguri, Muhammad Goni, NTA News.
And elsewhere, following appeals by stakeholders, INEC has approved the extension of the continuous voter registration from Thursday 6th to Sunday 9th June 2024 to enable more eligible persons to register in Edo and Ondo states. Similarly, the duration of the exercise is extended from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 in the evening daily. A statement by INEC National Commissioner for Information, Sam Olumekun, appeals to eligible voters to seize the opportunity of the extension to register, transfer, or correct personal information, as there will be no further extension. The National Working Committee of the governing All Progressives Congress, APC, says the party will continue to explore windows of empowerment for the teeming youth in areas where were more suitable for their skills and knowledge as part of efforts to enhance productivity and ensure sufficiency within and outside the country. The party was Speaking during the official flag-off of the Workplace Readiness and Employability Skills Training Program 2024, tagged I Am Employable, where several youths across the country were engaged in different aspects of employment opportunities and empowerment. The program is also to complement several intervention programs put together by the Tinubu presidency to give youth their pride of place, as well as deepen their sense of enterprising spirit for national development.
In today's workplace. Chairman, sir, about 2 months ago, I went to Morocco with 6 of our young people from the party. My zonal youth leader from Southeast, my state youth leader from Nasarawa, the senatorial youth leader from Lagos, and some other young people in the party.
Stakeholders say the 3-day program will assist in transforming the lives of APC youth and making them productive to themselves and the economy as a whole, as the focus is intended to build a broad-based system that will initiate a process for national advancement. Women leaders on the platform of the governing All Progressives Congress across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory have commended the 1-year transformative leadership of the Tinubu presidency. The women were received at the National Secretariat of the party by the National Women Leader, Mary Alile Idele, where they commended the 1-year purposeful leadership of the Tinubu government, the National Working Committee of the party, and passed a vote of confidence on the National Women Leader.
We are supportive of this government. The government of His Excellency, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because this government has been the government that has propelled women out. So, and of course, we must applaud the government. Of course, we support the government. Of course, we back the government.
The women say they will continue to mobilize and educate the female gender towards realizing the renewed hope agenda, which is already impacting meaningfully on the lives of Nigerians and uplifting every sphere of the country. And in other news, pilgrims from Sokoto and Zamfara states have commended the partnership between Sokoto State Government and Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, in the provision of the state-of-the-art modern aviation equipment that make the screening process seamless at the Aliyu Magatakar Dawamako Hajj Terminal of the Sultan Abubakar International Airport, Sokoto. Bashir Ibrahim Nababa reports.
The construction of the Hajj terminal commenced in 2016. It is, however, abandoned after reaching an appreciable stage of completion, leaving no choice to authorities and pilgrims but to operate at the old terminal. Well, this is now history thanks to the timely intervention of Sokoto State Government that puts in place the ultra-modern edifice identified as the best in the country by the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, during its inauguration recently. Corroborating his words are these pilgrims while sharing their experiences before their departure to Saudi Arabia for this Hajj exercise.
Alhamdulillah, everything is going on. The FAN and the Sokoto State are doing well. All the screening, the equipment are fine. Alhamdulillah, all their facilities are okay.
So far, the airlift of pilgrims from Sokoto and Zamfara states to the Holy Land is going on smoothly at the airport. NTA News gathered that this feat would not have been possible without reaching out to Sokoto State Government and other relevant stakeholders initiated by the FAN leadership.
By 2022, it was abandoned at 90% completion. So sad. Whole of this government relying on the new hope agenda of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, where we were mandated as managers to seek, partner, and collaborate with state government, where infrastructure, various areas can be developed.
Formerly, if you are aware, the former Hajj terminal was in the United States. But that we feel it is, the governor said it is very good for our pilgrims to start this Hajj here. And by speaking us about it come to reality. You can now see it's being used by Sokoto and Zamfara State pilgrims. As you can see, Zamfara pilgrims are already on on their way to Saudi Arabia using this new terminal.
Aside the scope at which the Hajj terminal was built, the single search area for all the security agencies makes the 2024 Hajj operation unique at the airport. From Sokoto, Bashir Ibrahim Nawawa, NTA News.
You're watching NTA Network News on the largest TV network in Africa. We'll be right back. And now for news making round around the world, let's join the global update.
In a speech, the South Korean president also urged African countries to take firmer steps in an international pressure against North Korea.
Keep on the path of partnerships such as this one between Africa and Korea. In doing so, we may also enhance our cooperation on other matters of mutual concern in the global arena.
Trade with African nations currently accounts for less than 2% of South Korea's total imports and exports. And the U.S. Defense Secretary, Lloyd Austin, has interfaced with Cambodia's Prime Minister. The outreach reflects the U.S.'s desire to forge a better relationship with Cambodia, particularly Beijing's influence over the country has continued to grow in recent years. A senior defense officials say the U.S. believe there is potentially an opportunity with leadership transition in Cambodia for the U.S. to sit down and talk about how the relationship might have a more positive and optimistic path in the future. Officials said Austin did express the U.S.'s concerns, however, about China's funding and of presence at Cambodia's Rim naval base on the Gulf of Thailand. China is the only country to have landed on the far side of the moon, having done so before 2019. The Chinese National Space Administration described the mission's landing and lift-off as an unprecedented feat in human lunar exploration. The craft used a little arm, picking rock samples and waving the Chinese flag before beginning the journey back to Earth early hours of Tuesday. Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
And now from stories making headlines around the world, we now join Samuel Johnson for stories trending in the sporting world.
We begin from the home front. Only 2 clubs from the country's elite division can reach the semi-finals of this year's President Federation Cup competition, with 2 of the surviving 3 clubs, Sunshine Stars and Kano Pillars, going headlong against each other in one of the quarter-final matches scheduled for the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, on Wednesday. The match is slated for Area 3 Stadium, where one of the MPFL clubs must lose to pave way for the other to progress to the last 4. And from the camp of the Super Eagles, more players have arrived in Uyo camp as the team continues its preparations ahead of the 2026 World Cup qualifier against South Africa under the watchful eyes of Coach Finidi George. The team's target is to get the maximum 3 points at stake.
We found a system where we're robust from the defense moving into the attack, and we've got strikers or attackers that are quick and skillful. So we've got good chances, but then we need to put our house in order.
In grassroots sports development, ICO football team are champions of the 2024 edition of Arian Games held in Lagos. The team defeated Mutual Benefits football team 2-0 during the energy-sapping encounter to lift the trophy.
They have the full back of their management. They really give them everything. And to be a champion, you really need the support of your principals.
Prudential Zenith fought hard, coming from 2 goals down to defeat AXA Manzard 5-4 on penalties to clinch the 3rd position in an atmosphere full of fun, excitement, and followership. It ended 2 goals apiece in the regulation time. With sports update, Samuel Johnson, NTA News.
And that does it for Network News tonight. My name is Nansel Nimiel. Thanks for your company.